Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In this video, we will be sharing some of the common reasons why your application might get returned and what are the steps that you can take in order to avoid them.
As you would know, there is now also an online mode of application that can be done for submitting your spouse's sponsorship. We did paper-based application, so we are going to talk about the mistakes that you should avoid when you're submitting paper-based application. But these points are also going to be relevant even for an online mode. So make sure that you watch this video till the end to avoid these common mistakes and have a smooth application process.
Thankfully, we never had our application returned, neither we were asked to submit any additional document.
So we thought of sharing the checks that we made before sending our application to IRCC.
So let's get started.
If you are new to the channel, I am Ankit.
I am Ankita, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button right below. On our channel, you will find a lot of informative videos around our experience of settling down in Canada, and also during our fun time we like to create some vlogs. So let's begin.
If you have been following us, you might know that in our earlier videos we had talked about how you can get the application package, and in that application package the first thing that comes up is the guides that you are going to refer. Now these guides are something that IRCC has provided which helps you in submitting a complete application package. In one of these guides, IRCC has explicitly listed down the reasons why your application might get returned. We are going to talk about the most common mistakes that we have seen couples making when submitting their application, and we are also going to talk about some reasons why your application may not get returned but might delay the application processing.
Let's get started with the point 1 on missing signatures.
Now, funnily speaking, the small set of forms that you are requested to provide, in those forms there are a lot of places where you are supposed to provide signatures. Now these signatures can be a sponsors, it can be a principal applicants, and also if applicable it can be some dependents that are coming along with you.
For example, in IMM 1344, both sponsor as well as primary applicant signatures are required. So ensure that you are doing signatures correctly.
You might find this funny that hey, if the signature is asked, we are going to anyways provide the signature, right? But that's not true in a lot of cases. One of the biggest reasons that we have seen that application gets returned is due to a missing signature. So make sure all the forms that are relevant to you, even if those are country specific forms, you are providing the signatures at the right place and the right spot.
Point 2. Country specific forms.
In one of our earlier videos, we have talked about what are the forms that are applicable to you as an applicant. If you haven't seen that video, the link to that is somewhere above. When you go to the CIC website to download your application package, you are going to select what is the country in which your spouse resides in. When you select that country, the system is going to give you some country specific forms. It might happen that it is not relevant in your case, but if it is, make sure that you have reviewed those forms.
For example, in our case, I resided in India and I was asked to provide my international travel history for past 10 years.
Now this travel could be for any reasons. It could be for leisure, it could be for business visit, or it could be a project or an on-site engagement. So make sure that you're going to the instructions in the guides which explains to you what are the things that you need to provide when you're filling out a country specific form.
Point 3. Missing address information.
Among all the forms, there are a lot of places wherein you are going to provide address information. Now that address information can be for the sponsor, it can be for the principal applicant, it can also be the dependents, and also it can be the blood relatives or the principal applicant. Irrespective of whose address is requested in the forms, you are still going to provide complete address information and do not use the abbreviations.
For example, a lot of people have a habit of using abbreviations instead of complete words. I've seen a lot of people in India write Nagar as NGR dot. So this is the habit that you would want to avoid while you are filling this mail address form in your IRCC application.
The other instance could be, let's say you are living in an apartment. So make sure that you're providing the unit number or the apartment number and not just provide your street number and street name. If the field is not applicable to you, you are going to provide not applicable. In nutshell, in the entire application, you're not supposed to leave any field blank. Write either not applicable or just N/A or NA, and the immigration officer would understand that this field has been seen by the applicant and they have decided to provide a not applicable value in that field.
Point 4. Missing supporting documents. All the documents requested should be provided. Just in case if you do not have a specific document that is being asked by IRCC, ensure that you are providing an evidence to support that particular document along with a letter of explanation.
Let me explain this point with an example. So when we were submitting birth certificate of Ankita, We came to know from the guides that if there is a gap in the actual date of birth and the date of registration, then we were supposed to provide voter ID. It just so happens that the voter ID that Ankita has in India, her date of birth is mentioned wrong in that. Not just the date of birth, even her last name is spelled incorrectly. So this was something that we were not able to provide, though it was very clearly requested. For such cases, as Ankita rightly talked about this point, you can still provide any other supporting documentary evidence along with a letter of explanation. So in this case, we provided a letter of explanation saying that, hey, we do not have the right voter ID and we cannot get a new voter ID updated because it was a COVID period. And along with that, we provided Aadhaar card, which is the national identity document in India. And we also provided passport and other documentary evidence from the school living certificates. And that corroborated the evidence that her date of birth is precisely what we have mentioned in the forms.
Now coming to point 5. IRCC only accepts the documents that are in English or in French. In case you are providing the documents that are not in either of the language, that ensure that you translate that particular document in English or in French before submitting that.
And this is applicable for, in fact, everything that you're submitting. It can be for your marriage certificate, it can be the birth certificate, or it can be, let's say, you are providing a proof of relationship. And in that proof, you're providing screenshot of the chat conversations. Even those chats have to be translated in English or French. The manner in which the translation of the documents needs to be done is very clearly explained in the guides.
You can find the screenshot here on our screen.
Now here's the catch. There are only few instances where you can provide some other substituted documentary evidence instead of what has been requested. Those documents are notice of assessment, proof of income, marriage certificate, police clearance certificate, birth certificate. These are certain things which has to be provided. For example, if IRCC has requested that you have to provide your marriage certificate, you have to provide your marriage certificate. It cannot be replaced by certificate of solemnization or
certificate.
That cannot be provided in place of marriage certificate. You have to provide marriage certificate.
If you do not have any of these documents, make sure you get them before starting your Canadian spousal application process. In case if there is a missing information or if the information is not correct in these documents, you can definitely provide a letter of explanation to support that. But these documents are must for you. Point 6. Paying the right fees. Wait a minute. Can this also create confusion?
It is not that common that application gets returned for not paying the right fees, but it can create a confusion because there are 4 types of fees that gets applied: sponsorship fees, application fees, biometric fees, and right to permanent residence fees. The right to permanent residence fee is something that you can even pay at the later stage of the application. You need not pay right at front. But if you pay that fees right away, it just avoids the delay in the processing. But you have to pay the first 3 fees, that is the application fee, sponsorship fee, and the biometric fee, right at the time when you're submitting the application. Let's talk about point 7, missing barcode pages. This might be relevant only for paper-based applications. There are a lot of forms that has got a validate button. When you click on validate button, system is going to evaluate and read all the information that has been provided in that form. If certain information is not in the right order, or if, let's say, for example, you have not provided the date in the right format, system is going to give you a pop-up warning and it is going to take you to the place where you need to fix that particular error. Once those errors are fixed, and let's say your validation has been completed successfully, these forms are going to generate barcodes. These barcodes have to be provided along with the application right below the checklist.
But there is an exception. There is a form IMM 5669 which has a validate button, but it does not generate any barcode.
Yes, so in such cases you will still hit the validate button so that the system evaluates whether all the fields are in the right place.
Point 8. Providing the PR photographs with the right specifications. Now IRCC has provided a detailed guide on PR photograph specifications. I would recommend taking a print of that particular document and then going to a photographer and showing him all the specifications that are required for getting a PR photograph. Just a pro tip here. When I got my PR photograph clicked, at the same moment, I actually carried a scale with me and I measured my head to chin as well as my head to neck length and made sure all these dimensions are as per the photo specifications.
Once you get the PR photos, do not just leave the photo studio right away. You need to get the stamp of the photo studio on the back of the PR photos, and also the back of the photo should carry the date on which the photograph got clicked. Besides this, once you're finally submitting the application, make sure that you have the name of the applicant and the date of birth provided on the back of the photo as well. Now, we have talked about the most common reasons why an application can get returned. But there are also certain things that you need to keep in mind in order to avoid any kind of hiccups during the process or certain things which can cause a processing delay.
Point 1. Make sure that all the forms that you are providing are latest.
When you download the application package, system is going to by default select the latest forms. Let's say you had downloaded the application package on 1st of January and you are in process of preparing the application and you are still securing the supporting documents, proof of relationships, and this takes you, let's say, 3 months. So your date when you are ready to submit the application is on 31st of March. During this period, it is likely that the application forms got updated. When you are ready to submit the application, check again whether all the forms that you have filled up is relevant and are still valid.
If by any bad luck you got your application returned, even while submitting your application again, you need to check whether all the forms are up to date. Point 2. Do not use staples, pins, sleeves in your application.
The guide categorically says that you are not supposed to provide any document that has got a pin or a staple on it. If you want all the papers stacked in the document stays in place, you can just provide a huge paper clip on the top of the application, which we can show you the screenshot, and that will just keep all the papers in one place. Do not use staples and binders and pins. As part of proof of relationship, you will be requested to provide 20 photographs. For providing those photographs, you can use a rubber band to clip all the photographs in place and put it in the right place in the package as per the checklist.
Point 3. Make sure that you are not leaving any field blank. You must write NA over there before submitting. This actually helps an immigration officer to understand that you have actually gone through that particular field, and that is why you have written NA over there. Point 4. If you are a resident in Quebec, there are some additional forms that are required to be filled by you. Just ensure that you fill those particular forms before submitting your application. In our case, these forms were not applicable. Point 5. If there is any change in your mailing address, ensure that you are informing to IRCC on time.
Now let me share an important tip here. If you as a sponsor have submitted your application, let's say on 1st of January, and you are moving your apartment on, let's say, 31st of January, and you have still not received your acknowledgement of receipt on your application. When you do not have an AOR, you will not have an application number, or you will not have a UCI number, and because of this, you will not be able to call up IRCC and say that, hey, I have changed my location. There is a service that is provided by Canada Post that can help reroute all the packages that arrive to your older address redirected to your new address. Now this service does not cost much, and this is a good thing if as a sponsor you're changing your residence while the application is in process and you still have not received your acknowledgement of receipt.
Now coming to the last point, in case if there are any developments or any updates happening in your life, for example, you're expecting a child, just ensure that you are informing the IRCC on time.
To summarize what we have covered in the entire video, make sure that you are checking, rechecking and triple checking your application package before sending it. Go through the guides and the checklist religiously and make sure whatever has been asked has been provided, all the fields are answered, and if not applicable, NA is written on it.
It will be beneficial if your application can be reviewed by someone from your family or friends before submitting it.
Having another set of eyes go through your application really helps. And in spite of doing all this, if still your application gets returned, do not get disheartened. This is just one hiccup and a roadblock. You can still go ahead and submit the application. But when you are submitting it, make sure that your forms are relevant and updated. Scan the entire application on resubmitting it.
This brings us to the end of the video. We hope and pray that your application gets accepted in one go and you be with your loved ones as soon as possible. If you have found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family who will be starting their Canadian spousal application process soon. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next video. Till then, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.